Welcome back to my kitchen, Gigi's Kitchen, where we get to learn all about prepping and cooking and dining and just having a good time. And today I'm going to do a German schnitzel, or German style schnitzel. It'll be a pork schnitzel, and it does take a bit of a prep. But I think it's an easy prep. It's something that I think all good home cooks should know how to do. And if you don't, here's your chance to learn it. It's a 3-step breading process, and that's the most important part, to get a good crispy outside for our schnitzel. And basically what a schnitzel is a pan-fried breaded cutlet. So our ingredients today for this will be a cutlet. And as you can see, I have a thin cutlet, and it's all the fat is still on the ring. I buy them whole and slice them, or you can buy them already sliced. Either way, this is how they come. So this is one. And then of course we have our breading, which will be our flour, our egg, and our panko. And yes, I'm using panko and not breadcrumbs. You can if you want, but I like the extra crunch of the panko. Also, we're just using our normal general seasoning with a little salt and pepper on them. So our side dish for the day is some pan-fried potatoes, which are already sliced and ready to go. So I want to just say, let's give this a go and let's cook this schnitzel. This pork cutlet, it is part of the loin, and it has fatty on it, a little on the edge. Now if I was just sauteing this in some butter and for a little sauce, I would probably leave a little bit of this on there. But for my schnitzels, I don't want that on there. I'm going to take it off, so when you bite into it, you're not going to get this big piece of fat into one big bite. So I'm going to take that off. Just trim it like that. And then I'm going to go around the edge, and I'm going to trim this all off of here, all the way around, the fat coming off. And you can flip it over to check the other side, but that looks pretty good. And sometimes I might just make a little slit in the edge. Then we're going to take these and we're going to put them between saran wrap. We're going to sprinkle our seasoning on them, and then we're going to pound them. And not a whole lot, because as you can see, they're already thin. But the pounding process does help break down some of the coarse texture of the pork. And so with this pork, it will cook very fast. So it won't have a slow braising time to it. So that when we pound it out, it does help to tenderize it a little bit. I've got them all spread out. I've got saran wrap on the bottom. And then I have sprinkled them with my seasoning sauce, salt, and my salt and my pepper. I've grinded on. They've all been trimmed down. And then I have my top saran wrap that's going over the top. Now the big thing with this pounding is that we could use this side and this side, but for these, because they're already so thin, I'm not trying to get them really thinned out because they're already pretty thin. I just want to break down the tissue a little bit, so I'm going to use this side. If I was trying to make them bigger like a chicken breast, I would use this side, and I would push, I would hit and push at the same time. So I'd come down, hit, and then push out to make the meat spread out. I'm not so much worried about these. They're small, but that's okay. I'm going to take this and I'm going with this side. So just to break down the tissue a little bit. And see how I do push out a little bit when you pound. And look how thin that already is. So we don't need to do much. I only salt and pepper and season one side because my breading has seasoning in it too. But when I do it this way, it kind of helps push the seasoning down into our meats. So then we're going to take this whole thing, bottom, and we're going to grab it and we're going to roll it over. Flip it over. Well, that didn't work, did it? Usually it does. There we go. And then all lined out again. And here we go, the other side. And if you see how they're nice and smooth, they all look about the same. And these are pretty thin. They will not take long to fry up at all. So now we're ready to bread them. I saved this little one for you so we can work through it together. Now let's talk about our breading a little bit. This is some flour which I've seasoned with salt and pepper. It is also self-rising flour. I do like to use that because it does give a little puff to my panko, and I like that little extra crispiness in there. Now I have my egg, which is just basic egg, no water, no milk, no anything. It's just eggs and whipped up. And then I have my panko over here. You can use breadcrumbs if you want. You can also use croutons. A lot of times those croutons that I make and keep in the cabinet, I'll take those and put them in the little chopper and chop them up and use them, and they're already seasoned, ready to go. And they make great breading. So this is our panko, it's ready to go. So the order is what's most important. First we're going to do our flour, then our egg, and then our panko. So when we do it that way, our flour and egg mix together and make like a little paste. So this is what we call dredging. Dredging, and see now I'm going to shake it all off, and this is a messy way to do things, but it tastes so good. So I always do this first, set it aside, clean my counter, and then I'm ready to move on with the rest of the meal. So see how nothing comes off of it. It's ready to go in the egg. I'm going to make sure it's good and coated on all sides, and there's no flour peeking through. And then it goes in the panko. And then I start tapping it down. Tapping it down all over. Then I flip it over. Give the pan a little shake to spread out my panko. And then I start patting it down again. And I just keep doing that until I get the amount of panko on there I want, how thick I want it. I'm almost to the bottom of my pan on my panko. There we go. I think that looks pretty good right there. And then it goes on the rack with the rest of them, just like that. And there we have it. They're ready to fry. And these will take maybe 2 to 3 minutes on one side, flip them over, maybe 2 to 3 on another, so they will fry up very fast. The time-consuming part is the breading part. And if you're serving a family of 6 and you want to make at least 1 or 2 or 1.5 per person, you gotta know what to do. So there's only 3 of us for dinner, so I made 6, and then I'll have leftovers, which is always a great sandwich the next day. All right, let's move on to the stove. I got my little skillet. This is for my potatoes, and the big one is going to be for my schnitzels. And you can see I don't have a lot of oil, just a little bit, just enough to cover the bottom in both skillets. If I need to, I can add more. And I'm going to start my potatoes first as soon as I feel like this is hot enough, and it sizzles when I put one in. So let's check it out. Nope, not hot enough. Gotta wait a little longer. It's almost there. How's this one? Nope. Take it out. There we go. Alrighty, well wait a second. Now this lid is for this skillet. So I'm going to add this lid, and you can see it fits on there pretty snug. I want it to be able to fit snug. Give it a few more minutes. See how our oil's doing over here? Look, throw in another potato. Oh yeah, see? It's all bubbling around. That's ready to go. So I'm going to take my potatoes, and I'm going to carefully slide them in so they don't splatter all over the stove and the wall and everything else. And get them in here. And then I'm going to spread them out. I'm going to salt them and pepper them. And then I'm going to put the lid on. Now this is a country fried potatoes, like my aunt used to make, and my grandma too. there's the salt. And here goes the pepper. And then the lid goes back on. And what that does is holds the steam in the pan so the potatoes can soften through the middle. Now this is, I'm sure, ready to go. So, let's give it a go. Oh yeah, look how nice that fries so quickly. I might need to turn it down, but we'll see after I get 2 in there. It's going to drop your temperature. So when they sizzle around the edges, you see all the bubbles coming up? There we have it. And these take so quick, they're going to be done in nothing flat. And see how quickly that did? Now look at that, nice and brown on the edges, but I think I still wanted a little more brown, so I'm going to leave it just a little bit longer. Now see the pointer to the middle? I always rotate it around about halfway through. So I turn it inside and out, and then I flip it over. This one looks like it's getting more brown than the other one. Let's see. Oh yeah, that looks really good. I'm going to flip this one all the way over. And I don't know if you can see in the camera, but you can see how all the pink is starting to turn white. And see how this one looks? That one needs to cook a little longer still. Might be my split here. There we go. I think I can fit one more right there. I'm going to start this one. And see how quickly those cook? I mean, they are cooking really well, really quickly. And I'm only on medium, about a medium flame. Okay, I'm going to rotate this one in around and let it cook some more. Nice golden brown, that's what I want to see. Some people like them darker. I don't care for them dark. But see how good that looks on that side? Flip it over. That one needs to cook some more. I have to check my brown. Alright. This first one we started with, I think I'm going to go ahead and take it out. Pick it up, and I'm going to let it drain a little bit. And then when I put it on my plate, I'm going to put it where it's kind of at an angle like that, so it's off the edge. Help it drain. And then we'll go ahead and throw another one in there. And we just keep going. I'm going to check my potatoes. Look at those. Oh, they're already getting soft. But I think I'm going to stir them up a little bit. And this is like a little coated Teflon kind of pan, so things don't stick to it, like the cast iron or spice cookies and stuff. I really like to do them. I bet this one's ready to come off. Oh yeah, look at that. There we go. See how this one looks? If I can get a hold of it. Nope, needs to cook some more. See if this one's ready to turn around, and then we'll add another one. Yep. Almost there. You got to check on my potatoes. See how they look. Oh yeah, those are good. Oh, look how soft those are. Those are done. So now that they've steamed through, we want them to get nice and brown, and the starch is released, so they'll be kind of sticky, and that's what you want. So I'm going to leave the lid off. I'm going to turn the flame up a little bit. And we're going to let them get good and brown. Oh, I think that one was two. All right, one left. Just a minute or so, maybe not even that long. All right, let's see how it looks. Yep. There we go. pork schnitzels. So in this skillet, I want to make gravies, but I'm going to turn the heat off right now because I don't want all that hot oil in there. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to be really careful taking it out and put it into a container. And I find the easiest way to do this is like this. I have my little metal cup here, and I'm just going to spoon it right into there. If I try and pour it, I'm afraid I'll just pour hot grease all over everything. And this way I can just quickly spoon it into there. I'll leave the crumbs in the bottom because that's good. We like the little crumbs in our gravy. And when I get all that wetting out of there, vegetable oil is what I use, pure vegetable oil. Then I'll put it back on here, and I'll take a paper towel, and I want to wipe the side of my pan here, just in case something dripped over the edge. I don't want a grease fire. So the temperature on this has dropped, but now I'm going to add about, I think that's about 2 tablespoons of butter in here, and we are going to melt this down to about, I think that's probably plenty. Maybe all I needed was about a tablespoon. I'm not making a lot of gravy. But I think it's time to flip over my potatoes. Now when I go to flipping this time, I'm going to use 2, and see I got my spoon over here. Oh, look how good those look. And then I'm going to flip this side. There we go. Now we're going to let all those brown up. There we go. Oh yeah, here we are. Coming on. Alright, so now I'm going to turn this skillet back on, but I'm going to put it on low. And I have here 1 cup of stock, and this is chicken stock, and 1 cup of milk. But before I do that, I'm going to add my pepper, and I'm going to add a little bit of black in here, or maybe a lot. I think I added it up the other day, so I can tell you. 10 grinds, no, it's 20 grinds gives me a half a teaspoon. And now I'm going to add my white pepper. Now the stock is salty, so I really don't need any salt, but I'm going to add just a tad. Kosher. I'm going to pull this away from my flame. I don't want that paper plate catching on fire. And here's my whisk, my fancy dancy little whisk. And get this to where it's kind of frothy. Hot. Now this is what we call making a roux. We're going to add the flour to the fat, and you can do this with bacon fat, sausage fat, butter, whatever you want. Sometimes the trimmings off of the pork loin I would put in here and slowly render the fat down and then take that out, but I didn't do it this time. So I'm going to add a little bit of this to it, and probably a little tablespoon at a time until I get a good coating. And then when it doesn't quite make a paste, so that's probably about a tablespoon, maybe a little more, 2 tablespoons, until it makes a good paste. I think I need a little more. There we are. Yep, in the middle, it's making that nice little paste for us. Now, I'm going to add my milk first. And this is where it's very cold milk going into a very hot roux. But one of the things is that we need to fry this flour so that it won't have a pasty taste. It didn't take long, maybe a minute or two. And then we start whisking and get those bubbles going. Whisk some more and just keep going. Keep going. Now you could use just stock, but I like to mix mine a little bit. And see, it's already turning thick for us. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of stock, maybe not too much. And then this is going to simmer and just cook and re-thicken. Cooking is messy business, isn't it? I just spilled milk all over myself. So we'll leave that to simmer some more. I got my flame off on my potatoes, and look at that thickening up. That is just about right. It's just going to get a little bit thicker, and we're there. Alrighty. Time to get the potatoes out. Put them on a paper plate. Look how good and crispy they are. I like how they just stick together. And then as soon as they get on this, we're going to hold them again one more time with a little salt and pepper. And see how that's my gravy's starting to boil up? I need to whiz it down a little bit. Oh yeah, that's good. I think we're there. And you just keep going until you get it to the consistency you want. But I think that's it for us. I'm just taking these potatoes out, and here we are. Yummy, yummy. Pork schnitzel, a little good pan gravy, right on the top of everything. And there you have it. Pork schnitzel and fried potatoes. Nothing can be more comforting. Yum. Let's eat. You can do this. See you next week. Bye.